In this video I'm going to talk about the male chest post weight loss, and the operation that I do for the loose skin on the chest is the upper body lift or the torsoplasty. So that's just torso is chest, so plasty is removing, or we can call it the lipectomy as well. So the upper torsoplasty, also called an upper body lift, removes excess skin and fat from the upper torso, upper chest area. It's designed for men after a significant or massive weight loss. It also is an operation if you have significant gynaecomastia causing ptosis to the chest area. It may be performed as a standalone procedure, or it may be combined with other post-weight loss operations and body contouring work. It targets the chest, the lateral chest wall, and obviously upper abdomen. Can go around all the way, so it can be circumferential, so it can include the back area as well as the underarm area. So primary goal is to remove the redundant skin and restoration of the masculine upper chest contouring. Now, why the male chest changes after weight loss? So many men develop enlargements during a period of weight loss, and if you have gynaecomastia beforehand, that gynaecomastia can be lower as part of that as well. So excess fat accumulation in the chest can create pseudo-gynecomastia appearance as well. Weight gain may also stimulate development of true gland and true breast tissue as well. After major weight loss, the skin often loses the ability to retract, and long-standing skin stretches and bariatric weight loss commonly lead to permanent skin laxity. So, common post-weight loss chest concerns in men that I see are loose skin, obviously in the chest area that hangs, skin laxity, excess skin and residual fat over the chest area, downward facing or low sitting nipple position, skin folds that are causing irritation and hygiene issues, and difficulty wearing and fitting clothes, reluctance to remove your shirt. It can be quite an obvious deformity that happens after weight loss as well as after gynaecomastia. So let's have a look at gynaecomastia, because gynaecomastia versus pseudogynaecomastia versus post-weight loss deformity. So, gynaecomastia refers to the true growth of breast tissue in a male. So that's abnormal growth of breast tissue in a male. Very common in teenagers, can occur because of drugs, anabolic steroids. It can also occur as we get older and the hormone changes. Pseudogynecomastia is fat deposits in the chest that look like a female breast, but it's not actually gland or breast tissue. So standard gynecomastia techniques fail to really treat the post-weight loss group, and I'll go through that in a little bit more detail. Standard gynecomastia techniques often fail to treat post-weight loss patients properly, because what you're doing is you're removing the tissue in the chest area, but you're not actually getting rid of the loose skin that happens in the chest area. So that is a really important consideration when I'm assessing the post-weight loss male patient. Now, what is the upper torsoplasty and what does it treat? Well, it treats the excess skin in the anterior chest. We also can treat the excess fat. So if you've lost weight and there's still a little bit of excess fat in the chest area, lateral chest area, we can do liposuction or suction-assisted lipectomy to treat that. The skin laxity can often extend into the lateral chest and the back area. So then I have to think about if we need to do just an anterior or front removal of the skin, or if we need to go all the way around. It's called a mastectomy because it removes the breast, but it's very different from a female mastectomy because we are planning the incisions in the pectoral, in the line of the pectoralis and making it look a lot more like a male chest, even with all the scar placements, the nipple placement, how tight we make it, where we put the skin. So there's a lot of considerations that are very, very different from a female breast. So in males, this is a very, very specific operation. Now, what is the role of liposuction in this context? Well, liposuction, also referred as suction-assisted lipectomy, removes fat, obviously, or adipose tissue. But it doesn't correct loose skin or stretched skin or in a male. So if you're doing just liposuction, because I'll go back a few steps. A lot of times the tissue looks like it's really thick, and has a lot of fat in it, which is not the case, because when you lose the weight, you don't have as many fat cells, and you have a lot more collagen or internal structure sort of tissue. So if you're doing liposuction, you will reduce a little bit of the excess that you have, but you won't remove all of it, and also you won't tighten the loose skin. I like to use the vasal liposuction because it does help a little bit more with removal of fat in fibrous tissue, especially then in the male chest area. So that's a really important consideration. Now, what are we actually doing? So, we are cutting the skin out, and then we are basically cutting the nipple areola off, and we are creating a little area where I'm de-epithelializing the skin of the where I'm going to put the new nipples, and then suturing those nipples on. So we are doing what's called a free nipple graft. That's the technique that I think gives the best result. There is other techniques that are like a breast reduction, where you're leaving the nipple on what's called a pedicle, and then swinging it up to a high position and getting rid of the loose skin. But that technique, I find, I've used a whole variety of different techniques, but I find that the breast reduction technique, or the pedicle technique, does tend to leave a lot of bulk in the chest area, and you still get a little bit of that round, sort of bulky appearance like a female breast. So I think getting rid of the skin by cutting it off completely and the underlying tissues, and then repositioning the nipple in a new position without having that bulk of the pedicle underneath, I find it gets the best results for the men that I see with the loose skin. So the one issue there is that obviously we are cutting and making the nipple into a graft. There is a possibility of losing that graft, so you might end up with just a scar where the nipple is supposed to be. A lot of times that is acceptable to a lot of men. Even with the pedicle technique, you can still get necrotic nipple areola, so either way, that is also a risk. Because we are repositioning the nipple areola, there is a issue with nipple sensation, the appearance, scars, all that sort of thing that you have to think about. There's two techniques that I usually discuss with my patients. So we have the anterior torsoplasty, and that's, as I mentioned, that's the front, and that's probably the most important part of the operation. You have the front chest area, we get rid of all of the internal structures, the fat, the loose skin, reposition the nipple, and basically make you flat, and position the scar where the pectoralis major muscle is, just underneath, swinging up to the axilla, so that you have the scar hopefully not as prominent as if you just go do it straight across the chest area. Now, the anterior one does not really address the back area, so that's a different area that is very, very commonly loose as well. So that's why we have the circumferential torsoplasty. So that is continuing that cut all the way around the back area. And that is quite a long operation because we have to do the turning. But I find that, and also something to consider is that a lot of men with post weight loss do have a lot of abdominal loose skin as well. So a lot of times we may consider doing the abdominal area first before we come back and do the circumferential upper torsoplasty, or we may actually do the abdominal area and the anterior torsoplasty first and then come back and do the back and circumferential area. So there's a couple of options there, and it's really important to discuss the timing and everything. In the last few years I've actually tried to do as much as possible in one sitting. So we can probably do an operation that's about 8 to 10 hours, depending on your medical health and how fit you are. If you're fairly young, like 20s, 30s, and you have no health issues, and this is the main issue, then we can do a bigger operation because that's safe. However, if you are like, 60s plus, you have health issues, you're not as fit, then in that situation I'll probably say we do have to divide it up into multiple operations to keep it safe. So that's very individual decision with the patient, and obviously when you come and see me. So back to the operation. So if we're doing the front of the tummy, we might do the front of the chest, and also if you have loose skin all the way around your abdomen, we may do a circumferential abdominoplasty, and then that may actually help the back area. However, a big issue there is that the back area is very, very fibrous. So when you're doing a circumferential abdominoplasty, the upper back doesn't really get tightened up very much. So that's really important to consider when you're doing your decisions about what operations you want. So the lower back is going to be fixed with a circumferential abdominoplasty, but it doesn't actually tighten the upper back. So you may, even though we do that, it may not fix upper back, and then we can come back to the upper torsoplasty or circumferential torsoplasty. Now, what are the recovery like? So I have a separate video for recovery from the torsoplasty, so that's so we'll try to link that in the description or in the video here. The recovery tends to be about a week. You tend to be in hospital about a day. Depending on if you're doing the anterior or the circumferential, you'll have tubes coming out from the back. I tend to do drains for both operations. The drains usually stay in for a couple of days. I aim to have less than 20 cc's in 24 hours coming out of the drain. And then you go home from hospital about day one. The first 2 weeks is an intense period that you come into the office, you see my nurse, see me. We do wound dressings, we take care of you, we do light treatments, etc. You'll have around the nipple areola, there'll be clips. We remove those clips and there'll be a tie of a dressing. So that puts pressure on the graft to try to make sure that it takes. Those come out about day 10. You'll be wearing a vest and a compression vest, usually for 4 weeks full time, and then I'll reassess at that time if you need to wear it a bit longer. You will have dressings on the scars, and then after that we'll talk about silicone strips and things like that. Now, as with any operation, there will be potential complications. With the torsoplasty, there will be similar complications that can happen with any of the other body contouring surgeries. So we have anesthetic issues, we have closing leg, lung issues, breathing problems, we have scar issues, we have nipple, necrotic nipple, we have bleeding, hematoma, seroma. So there's a whole host of potential complications, which I'll go through really in detail when you come and see me. And I have a separate video to go through these complications as well. So I'll try again to link that in this video. I hope this has been helpful. It is a very, very, it's a big operation, but it's had the patients that come with loose skin do accept that there is a scar and all the other issues that come with the operation. So I'll see you in the next video.